Slowly, I want to take this channel back to basics. I've been for the last 15 months talking about the problems, interviewing people about the problems, talking about what might be the solutions and interviewing people about the solutions. And as you know, we've looked at a whole plethora of different things, from where money comes from, what money is. We've looked at various different health protocols, ways to deal with certain medical interventions. We've looked at what is lawful, what is legal. We've had loads of people putting up their approach to things like dealing with the council tax. We've been fighting unfair systems and things like that. And there'll still be a little bit of all of that coming up. But I want to move much more to what seems to me to be the absolute crisis coming down the line, and that is food and farming. And I've mentioned that before, and of course the lovely Julia and I are very much looking to get some land and to start farming. We would very much like to not be completely isolated on our own off-grid in the middle of nowhere, fending and making life very difficult. I'm of a certain age, of course, although I feel fit. I know I'm not that fit because I've been sitting down interviewing and just doing monologues and things. I need to get out there and get the old sinews working, which will be good. So it would be nice to get a group of people together and work as a team, if not all on the same place, but in related areas. One of the things that I want to look at, and one of the projects that I suppose in the next couple of months, is to talk to farmers, talk to growers, talk to people who are out there in the land and find out just the truth, as it were, the real difficulties of it all. How hard is it to grow food? I think that there's a perception that people have with rose-tinted glasses that you just buy a piece of land and food magically appears. We know that there is problems with legislation, rules and regulations about whether you can live on the land and not live on the land, how you rear and what you feed certain animals, how you get round. All of that is very important. We know that there is a huge land grab going. We know that the corporations, this corporate Britain, is desperately trying to snatch all the land and prevent us from actually growing food. We know, of course, there's the campaign, no farmers, no food, which makes perfect sense. But we do seem to be in a position at the moment where the general populace and even farmers, some of the big farmers certainly, have got themselves into a pickle. So I think the populace, the general public, as it were, they've been ensnared. They've fallen foul of the supermarket myth that they can get everything convenient and at low price in a supermarket. They can park very easily, and then there's all the coloured boxes and the so-called nutrient-full, wonderful, plentiful food that they promise with added vitamins or added minerals or this, that and the other. And we now know, of course, that this has been a huge lie. And actually, most of the food that you buy in the supermarket, you wouldn't really class as food. It's chemicals. It might have some food in it. It is basically chemicals, and some of those chemicals are not really very good for us. Produced on a massive scale and just not beneficial to the human condition. So we've got to get out of that. And I know it's hard, and I know if anyone says, oh, go to farm shops or go to the market or buy organic or try and grow it yourself, people like me get criticised all the time and say, well, it's easy for you. You're rich. I'm not rich. They say, well, you know, we can't do it. I can't grow my own food. I'm up in the top end of a flat. Absolutely. I know it's difficult, and I'm not blaming, and I'm not casting aspersions to anybody who's in these difficult situations. We all are. I have very little garden space here. It's north facing, it's freezing cold, and very little light comes in. I have tried growing bits and pieces, but mostly it all withers away. And because I have a wood burning stove, because I didn't want to be trapped into the big 6 utility companies providing gas or electric, and I wanted to be independent, my back garden is mostly filled up with local logs. But at least I'm putting the money I pay for the logs, which may be more expensive, I don't know, I don't think it is these days, than gas and electricity, to warm the house, to cook on, to heat the water. And actually, when I've got clothes hanging up here, hanging down, it dries. I don't need an electric dryer. But I have to store the logs, and the money goes into the local economy, goes to my chap, who is a very nice bloke, John, who also keeps bees and provides us with real honey, which is lovely. So I'm doing my best, and of course we go to the farm shop as much as we can, and yes, it's very expensive, but we do with a hell of a lot of other things. I don't have television prescriptions, whatever you call it. I don't have a television. I'm not part of Amazon Prime. I'm not part of Netflix. I don't watch any of those things. We barely drink. Yes, admitted, I do now take up the pipe to get that nicotine, which is very handy if certain problems in the world are being perpetrated by those people who want to depopulate us. And it's actually, I mean, you know, it's quite pleasurable sitting by the fire once in a blue moon, having a little puff and enjoying the experience. It's not that I'm doing it sort of 20, 30 times a day. Anyway, so that's my tiny one little indulgence, other than, of course, making tons of videos. So I think the populace has forgotten what real food is. And one of the things that I would love to see is the family unit come back, in which instead of sitting in front of a screen, putting in some chemical substance that's come in a colourful box and shoved into a microwave and then pinged up rapidly, something that's been healthier food that's being cooked, and the family get round the table again and they talk and they enjoy what food really is. We seem to have forgotten what it is. We think of it now just as a necessary fuel, but it's much more than that. It is the medicine. If you're eating good quality food, you don't need doctors, you don't need pharmaceuticals, you don't need medical interventions. This is, I mean, the nonsense that is told to us about having to rely on all these services and these pills and things like that. It's just about making the other people lots of money. Corporations, big corporations. Sadly, it seems that a number of the larger farmers, and again, I don't particularly blame the farmers, of course, but they've been persuaded, cajoled, and incentivized by the government with subsidies and big tech and agrochemicals to go into high intensive farming and to support the supermarkets. But we've seen how the supermarkets deal with the farmers and the kind of contracts they do. And so farmers have got themselves, I think, into a bit of a pickle. They forget that they're making food. They think of it as commodity and it goes to the supermarket. They don't know. Obviously, the smaller farmers, and this is where the essence of life really is. It is with the smaller farmers. It is with the small farms, the growers, the market gardeners, and those who rear a small number of animals, various cattle, pigs and sheep and chickens and things, and bees, of course. All of this is absolutely essential that we've got to get back to. And in some way, somehow, we need to entice the bigger farmers to join the small army. The problem we have, of course, is all this legislation, rules and what have you from the government. And it incensed me, if that's the right, I am incensed, that's better, by the fact that everybody's stuck with this, oh, but the government rules and regulations, we can't do this and we can't do that. Look, if they're dropping bombs on us, if we're in a war, and we're in a silent war, this is what we're on, against corporate Britain, which wants to grab the land, against the likes of the WEF, and the WHO who want to control our sovereignty. We are in this war and this battle. But if they're dropping bombs on us, you don't go, oh, well, I can't cross the road because there's a little red man there. I'll just wait for the bomb to drop. If these rules and regulations are there to tie us up and make us unable to eat properly or to grow food, and we're being told to get off the land, at some point we do have to say, sod those rules and regulations. They're anti-human. They're not here to help humanity. They're actually here to help dead entities, corporations. We have to just ignore those and do our own thing. The other thing I was thinking of, and I need to work on this idea a bit more, I appreciate, but I don't know if you're of a certain age, and wasn't there, of course, but during the Second World War, when the men came off the land and was working in the army and the navy and the air force, in the forces, we had the land girls. The land girls were the civilian ladies that were taking to the farm to help. I think we need to perhaps rebuild that civilian army, the land army of ordinary everyday people, and prepare ourselves, because the farmers, it seems, some of them may want to do this, but they can't. They're in contracts, they're in a difficulty, but we need them and their expertise, and we need their land. And so we need a land army who is there to support the farmers, to say, look, okay, I know you've got to do your monoculture over there, but you've still got some land that is on set aside. Don't put it into trees and don't put it into just flowers. Give it to this land army and we will grow, we will till it, even if we're using antiquated equipment, even if we're using old-fashioned ways of doing things. Get people back on the land, younger people, healthier people, and the older people. Let's all get back onto that land and support the farmers in whatever way we can, so that they can still bring in the produce. Let's help get up farm shops. I know there's rules and regulations and the councils, and they'll be saying you can't do this and you can't do that. Well, I say sod all of that. In times of war, we have to work for the greater good of the people, not a dead entity council with their elite councillors in their fast cars and the leaning on that they've had from the government. Not interested in government anymore. I'm interested in real people, in humanity, in what is absolutely essential, in the heart of us, in our country, in our upbringing and our customs. I'm interested in the truth, not this dead entity world and these lies that we're constantly being told, like global warming and net zero and all that crap. It is time to say no more are we going to deal with any of that. We the people own this land, not you few who want to control us and enslave us. No thank you, we don't want that. So I think that we should develop a land army who are there to support the farmers and get out. Let's do it. Let's just do it. Why be held back? No man is above any other. And if we wish to do this and we wish to eat and have healthy food and do away with pharmaceuticals and do away with stupid government control and legislation, then we need to rise and do these things for humanity, for the sake of us and our families and the next generation. Thank you for watching.